So I just wanted to go through a few quick farms that you can do in Palworld, which are really going to help you advance quickly through the early game into the mid game and beyond, and these ones are particularly helpful especially if you've just picked up the game, and the first one is by using the ranch. Now the ranch is one of the first technologies that you can pick up on the technology tree, and it really is a super easy farm that you should be getting hold of as soon as possible. Now the main reason for this is because you can actually lean into a number of your pals' abilities by using them and putting them in the ranch and using them to essentially dig up and give you free materials. Now there's a ton of free materials that you can get from this, and it works basically by you literally doing nothing, and you'll be getting tons of wool, tons of spears and even gold, which can help you buy further pals on the black market or at any of the merchants that you see whilst you're roaming around the area. Now to get tons of wool, you're only going to need a lamb ball to do this, and obviously these ones are very common, especially in the starting area, so make sure that you get one of these put in your ranch, and you're going to have wool for days, which is going to allow you to create tons of cloth, which is one of the main things that you're going to need to keep on top of your armour, especially as the game gets going. Now if you really want to dive deep into the end game of Palworld, you're going to need a ton of spears, and in the early game there's one of the best farms for this, and it's not by using the workbenches. You're really going to want to put a Vixie in your ranch. Now Vixie's secret ability allows it to basically dig up items, and the vast majority of these items will be spears. Obviously these are just the basic pal spears, but to catch the basic animals that you're going to usually come across if you're wanting to level any of them up or combine any of them to make them even better, then these pal spears are great, especially if you're farming for XP. Vixies can also drop gold, so definitely don't sleep on these ones, and if you haven't found a Vixie yet, then one of the early dungeons, which I'll try and show on the map right here, is going to be one of the easiest ones for you to pick up, so definitely get a Vixie and put that one in your ranch. But lastly, also another pal that you can find in the dungeons is this little black cat. Now this one is excellent in the ranch because it's going to get gold, and if you leave it there for a good period of time and you're AFKing or you're off out adventuring, then you're going to come back and you're going to have potentially thousands of gold. It really is super simple farm for using the ranch, so if you haven't used this method yet, get your lamb ball, get your Vixie, get the cat, put it in your ranch and off you go. Now the next main farm that you're going to want to use is a little bit further on into the game, and you're going to need to basically get your pal box up to level 10. This is because it gives you access to building a second base. Now you don't just want to place this second base willy-nilly, you want to place it up in this specific area right here, which is just after the Chillit boss and over this bridge. Now this one's become a mega popular one, and basically for one reason and one reason only, is because it can actually drop and spawn in a ton of ore rocks. Now these ore rocks are basically what are going to allow you to produce tons of ingots at your base. This little spot here is basically broken at this point, so we're going to show you how to set it up and how to move all this ore from one location to your main base, where basically you're going to set up your furnace and you're going to use your furnace to get ingots. So you want to basically set up your pal box in the middle of this location, and you basically want to get whichever pals that you have which are specifically good at mining up in this base. The ones that I've been using are tomb bats. Now these ones only come out at night time and they only come out in certain areas, but they are fairly common, so if you don't have one, then make sure you spend a bit of time hunting around during the night time in Palworld, and you'll surely come across one or two of these. Now I've only got 2 of them in my base currently, but they're doing absolute bits because all they do is mine, and these ore spawns basically just last forever, and then all you need is a couple of pals which are going to transport the ore from these ore deposits into a wooden crate. So if you set up the wooden crates next to the pal box, this is going to help with transferring the ore to your main base. But basically, if you haven't got any gatherers, you can pick up some daydreams again at night time. So if you're hunting for tomb bats, hunt for some daydreams at the same time and put both of these into that base up on this hill, and you'll be able to get a good little ore farm going. Now obviously you're going to want to keep some of your pals happy whilst they're up there, so put some beds out of the way so that they don't disrupt the ore spawn points, and also get yourself a little buried plantation farm going. Make sure you've got the planters and the waterers set up for that. Obviously just a pal that's good for watering and a pal that's good for planting will literally do that, and then the daydreams will then go and transfer the berries into your little food storage. And basically this one is all set up. Now you can add a spar as well. I would recommend that you do add one because a lot of these pals are really going to be going hammer and tongs at farming this ore for you, so definitely get one of them set up. But basically all you need to do here is, once you do set up your ore farm, like I said, make sure you get that wooden box set up next to your pal box, because you're going to want to position yourself in such a way that you can collect the ore from the wooden crate, and once you collect it you're likely to be over encumbered, which is not going to allow you to walk. So basically you're going to be able to just pick up the ore from the wooden box, turn to your little pal box, and then fast travel back to your main base. And literally you won't need to move at that point. Just remember that once you do get to your main base, you're probably going to need to again position another storage box in a location that is next to the pal box on your main base. But once you do spawn in at your main base, I would recommend that you just drop the ore at this point and then position yourself a little bit in between the storage box and where the ore is deposited, so that you can then do that little turn maneuver again to get the ore finally into the storage box on your main base. And then once you've done that, you can move over to your furnace and essentially just set up a ton of ingots ready to go. Now obviously you're going to need a fire-based pal to make these ingots, but if you've got one set up at your base, then that pal is basically just going to be set and you've got yourself a good little ingot farm. Now obviously you're going to need ingots for a ton of stuff, especially as you start leveling up your base and moving on into the end game. You're going to need these for advanced weapons, advanced guns, advanced farming tools, and any of the more advanced building technologies. So just a quick rundown of what I've been doing in terms of farming some of the materials in the game. Hopefully you found this one helpful. If you did, I'm going to put out a few more guides just like this, so please stick around and thank you very much for watching.